let's take a look at what is happening in the markets, and we start off with the JSE that just closed, assuming that there are some developments there in the Middle East tensions as Trump has entered the chat. And we are seeing a turnaround from a morning trade on the equity space. Of course, we also did have good news with May's inflation print coming out in line with market expectations at 2.8%, remaining steady from April, and also retail sales climbing 5.1% year on year in April. We do have the all share up by more than 1/3%. That largely coming from the Resources 10 complex that's ticked up by almost 0.6%. Industrial 25 with an uptick of 0.52%, and the Financial 15 carrying the least of those gains, relatively flat, just 0.06% above that flat line. Let's take a look at what is happening in the U.S. and we are, of course, awaiting the Fed's latest interest rate decision that's coming at around 10 p.m. South African time today. Positivity filtering through to those markets. S&P 500 up by 0.4%, the tech-heavy Nasdaq climbing by more than 0.5%, and the Dow showing gains of more than 0.4%. Let's check in on the markets across the Atlantic, and as we're talking about inflation, we did have the UK's inflation print for May at 3.4%, coming out in line with expectations. A mixed picture on that front, the FTSE 100 being the only bourse in green territory, up by more than 0.1%. The DAX, though, carrying most of the losses that we are seeing there, edging lower by more than 1/3%, and the CAC 40 deflating by more than 0.25%. Let's check in on the currency market and see how the rand is doing against some of the major currencies. Of course, earlier on we had seen the rand at around 18 rand 8 cents against the US dollar, 18 rand 10 cents against the US dollar. Now going back below the 18 rand level against the greenback at 17 rand 94. The rand against the pound at 24 rand 17, and against the euro at 20 rand 67. Let's check in on how the other currency pairs are doing, with the euro dollar at 1.15, pound dollar at 1.34, and the yen just below 145. Again.